Good evening, and welcome back to PWT Rely News with your host, Mosey Long. And tonight on Just Did Dessert, we're talking about the water crisis in America. You know, water is a precious commodity. We woodland creatures understand the sanctity of water better than most. Water is right up there with plant food, because more animals nibble on plants than chew on meat. So when you hear reports about Lake Mead, once an endless reservoir, practically emptied or swallowed up by dry winds, you know America has a major problem. A big one. We all know that the Great Lakes keep the Northeast fertile. And in past times, the Colorado River did the same for the Southwest. But now, not so much. So many states draw upon that magnificent water source that the river is nearly depleted today and getting worse. And this just ain't an American story. In Cuba, the grid and infrastructure have struggled for years. In Puerto Rico, water is rationed. In parts of South America, once their glaciers and snow-covered mountains receded, meters were installed at every home and apartment, so residents paid for every drop they used. And now it's come to the United States. This is where leadership usually steps forward, even just to acknowledge the suffering of tens of thousands of Americans are facing. But in my opinion, when it comes to this crisis, the press has remained silent. Some supporters may see silence as strength. Some may think local government should handle it. But to me, silence during a water emergency speaks louder than any slogan. Because this didn't appear out of nowhere. No, siree. It happened during years when climate concerns were dismissed as a hoax. And what comes around goes around. Water doesn't concern itself with politics. Water doesn't concern itself with slogans either. And water certainly doesn't care about the midterms. Water concerns and cares about survival. And America's adversaries, the ones who study infrastructure, resources, and vulnerabilities, understand that without water, America's up the creek without a paddle, literally. So instead of worrying about the midterms, Mr. Press, maybe you ought to worry about the water crisis, because when families can't fill a glass, politics disappear. People don't care about speeches when they can't bathe their children. Or if you prefer to follow Marie Antoinette's famous phrase, instead of let them eat cake, you can always say, remove the salt and we'll drink the ocean. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. And to keep informed, to keep alert, and know what's going on in your world, small or not, remember to go over to pwtrelynews.kinsta, KINSTA.cloud, CLOUD, and see what the universe is talking about. Because sooner or later, it's going to start nipping you at your heels. And by then, folks, it'll be too late. Have a good evening, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.